forward to this for a while. Beautiful day for it. Got lucky with that one. And I'm going to do 5 days out with no food, no water, and just 10 items. The 10 items are kind of based around the Alone series, which is, it's like Bear Grylls The Island, but actual survival. No offence to those guys, obviously it's also hard in itself, but on the Alone series they send people out and they are completely alone, they don't see anybody, they have to film it all themselves, and they're only allowed to take 10 items. So these are the 10 items that I've brought with me, and I've also brought my dog, so I've got a couple of extra for him, but they're not 10 items. We're going to go from right to left. We've got a 50-pound bow. We have got a pruning saw, fire steel knife, fishing set. I was meant to just bring fishing line, but I couldn't find it in a rush, so I had to just grab the rod. I know there's only like a stream round here, so it doesn't really matter. I've got a rod. I'm not going to do anything crazy technical fishing wise. I would have just tied a line to the end of a stick and used that, and this will just serve that same function. So I'd like to have gone a little bit more primitive with it, but yeah, I've got assortment of hooks and fishing rod. Next is just assortment of cordage. So there's some jute twine, natural jute twine, some random guy lines from a tent bag, and then there's some paracord in there. Cook pot, so just a steel cook pot in there. Roll mat. Top, 3x3 top, and sleeping bag. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And it's all going to go into that bag. Luckily a really beautiful day. That's the kind of entry path. I need to get my priorities right, really. So it's a really hot day. My lips are already going dry. I'm already super thirsty. So I'm going to find out where I'm going to set up camp, drop my stuff. There's my dog, by the way. And the stuff I've bought for him is there. So he's got a bed. He's got his little kibble tower. So I don't have to worry about him eating. That is a camera bag with GoPro camera equipment in it, and then I've just got a few different spare changes of clothes in there, which is, spare change of clothes isn't counted as an item on the Alone series, so I've brought a few with me. So I'm going to go find where I'm going to set up camp and start fire. Probably going to set up camp in here. Bow. Fairly soft ground. I've got a little bit of cover from these hawthorn trees. Bit of sun, bit of shade. There's an old teepee. Been here for like 3 or 4 years now. Obviously I'm not going to be using that. It's actually past its sell by date now anyway, or use by date. Right, so fire making. I need to find some tinder, collect wood, and all the rest of it. So this meadow's got some nice dry grass. I prefer doing this without gloves on because you can really feel if something's dry or not. Be careful not to cut yourself. And through all of this, all that's on my mind is just trying to stay as super relaxed as possible. All my movements are just slow and methodical. Because when you're out here on your own, although, you know, this is just a mock survival scenario, but if if you're out here on your own, every little mistake magnified. So if I just go slow and methodical with everything I do, it means I won't, I conserve my energy first and foremost, and then I don't make terrible mistakes that cost me time, energy, and perhaps an injury. And here's some sorrel. So I'm super thirsty. Just having a few of these will quench my thirst a bit. Just they get the mouth salivating, and they're like little wild sweets for me. They're like a sour Haribo. Yummy. That's better. Oh, look at this guy. How beautiful is he? Just about to grab this dry, thorny mess, but then I saw this guy. Yellow furry mess. Little tail on him. He's cool. Looks quite toxic, doesn't he? Leave him be. This is definitely where you need gloves. This is perfect. So dry, small, go up with no problem. But check out those spikes. Good pair of sort of leather gloves. Really help with all this stuff. You can just grab without worrying. Imagine if you didn't have any gloves and you had to collect all this stuff. You still do it, but it would just take 10 times as long. So onto the big bits. Make my fire. Big dead standing branch, nice and dry. There she goes. So I've got all this. So I've got my wood. There's Baxter, just checking I'm doing everything right. Tinder, twigs, sticks, logs. So now I'm going to find something I can use my fire steel with. I might be able to light that tinder straight away. So, but instead of sitting there trying, I'm just going to go. I've seen some ash on the horizon over there. Ash, I can just feather stick that, fire steel to it, and that will go up. And I can use that as my my initial ignition. Then I get a pot of water on the go, boil some water, have a drink. Then the first job's out of the way. Second job, shelter. So I've just found on a piece of ash I just collected some charcoal fungus, or King Alfred's cake as they call it as well. So I'm probably going to light the fire with that, because it's more fun, it's more satisfying sort of blowing something into flames than it is just sparks a flame. So I'm just going to collect a little bit more tinder so I can actually have something to put these in when they're glowing coals. Just found a bit of this, which is perfect for blowing into flames as a tinder bundle. It's old dead cleavers, you can tell by the little sticky balls that are all over my gloves and on my shirt. That's the stuff you stick to your friends' backs to annoy them. So let's get this fire going. You helping Baxter? Take my gloves off for this because I just like feeling that Everything is nice and dry. Don't want any green in there. Be picky. Pays off. Right, faster. Couple of practice swings. Get all that stuff off the surface. Away. Right, put that into my timber bundle. There's always something so uplifting about getting a fire going. No matter how many times you do it, it just screams success. Safety, warmth, food, water, just is the fuel, the kind of energy. This is the best access to the screen. It's pretty clear, but it's definitely not moving very fast, is it? It does look super clear. And it is running. Pheasant fly off. Fish in here as well, so good sign. while I wait for my water to boil so I can get some fluids in me. My lips are already going really dry. It's only been, for how long? A few hours. Got here at 12, I think it's around 2ish. Got a couple of hours to find where I'm setting up camp and getting fire going. I feel it's pretty good. But I've just noticed I'm right next to it. Wild perfume, which means I can get some fluids in me while I wait for the water to boil, if they're right. Ooh, pears are my favourite. This tree is covered in pears, so at least I've got a constant source of carbohydrates, sugars, some liquids, vitamins, fruit, fibre. Slow down. Well, I'm out here. Happy days. For a good 5 minutes. So yeah, I can take it off the boil and have a drink, finally. I want to find some hazel, which is what I'm going to use for shelter I'm going to build. I can't drag it through this constantly. Baxter, no. Don't want to lose you down there. Oh, scare away all the rabbits with my sneezing. Just sawed some wood and at the same time sniffed a load of sawdust. That was a good move. So there's a lot of hazel. Perfect for making shelters because it just grows in these big, strong, straight staves. So I'm going to start chopping some of this down. There's loads of it. So start chopping some of this down and get the base of the shelter made. So at least I can put up the tarp and be sheltered if, tonight clouds move in and it rains. So just getting a roof over my head is priority, and then the walls and insulation can, if I don't get it all done today, that can come tomorrow. Just went and got myself some hazel to make in the shelter, and I'm going to make a sort of a pitched roof shelter where the front's going to be high enough for me to walk around in, and the back will go down to maybe waist or knee height. But just to make sure these are going to be the right length, just need to put them on end, stand next to them, and then I'll probably cut it about there. Some extra room for the fact it's going to be hitting to the floor a little bit. So if I cut it there, I know that it's going to be high enough for me to walk around in. So just above that knot. Took me ages to pick this knife. Still not perfect, but it's almost there. I haven't got an axe or any big processing tools, so I've got this knife and my saw, and that's the only things I have. But this knife is just about heavy enough, so I've got this big old piece of wood to chop a spike into the end of. As long as it's nice and sharp. pretty good job. I don't think you can see it. And it doesn't expend a huge amount of energy for me. Just sort of using the momentum of the knife and the weight of it instead of carving it, which would take a lot more energy. Cool. So I've got the frame up. Now I just need to finish it up. So day one, it's probably been 4 hours now, something like that. And did the fire, boiled the water, foraged a few bits here and there. Started on the shelter. I've got a lot of the wood for it to build. I've got all the wood to build the basic frame. So I obviously chose my spot, started putting it together. I just got stung by a wasp. As I was reaching for my saw, a wasp landed on my hand and stung me straight away. I'm not one to like swipe things away. I don't know if you can see that, but where that ring finger's going white, right on the end. Yeah, stinging a bit. So I figured out what it is. I don't know if you can see that. There's wasps everywhere coming out of that hole in the ground, which I saw first thing, and I checked it out. Now if I want to go near it, I checked it out, I had a look at it, assumed it was a sort of an old mouse hole, or even a new one, but I'm going to move off because they're starting to land all over me. They're not liking me building a shelter over their nest. Bit of a cock up really, wasn't it? But earlier I had a good look at it. There was no wasps around. It wasn't active at all. So I guess for some reason they're all coming out now because they've heard me, you know, hammering things into the ground. So I'm going to have to tackle this down, which I haven't done much, to be fair. It's just moving it to a different site. But yeah, dog's getting irritated as well. There's wasps everywhere now. Live and learn. What I just found. There we go. Big fat toad. If I was really desperate, I'd eat him, but that's slim pickings and it's day one, so I think I'll be alright. Pretty serious sting. Don't know if you can see that, but the whole hand on the left side, those knuckles are like, those two knuckles are becoming one. That is some vicious wasp. So there's the old shelter over there, and then new shelter. But this one isn't on a wasp's nest, so I'm probably going to get a better night's sleep, I think. Just waiting for the fire to kick in. I'll probably leave that for now. I'm good for today in terms of building a shelter, as long as I've got some cover. Clouds roll in overnight, and tomorrow I can build up the sides and close it in, make it a little bit more warm, stop the breeze taking all the heat away. So right now I'm going to make a raised bed for myself just along the side there. I've made it high enough to walk in. Most importantly, I've got back to the bed in here. Come on, mate, come on. You can be the fire. Also forgot to mention, day 1, new trousers. I brought them out here to test them out. Day 1, crotch was ripped open when I was climbing the tree. So we can firmly say that these are a pile of shit. I will not be recommending Carrymore Elite to anyone. Everyone knows Carrymore ain't that great. I mean, they've got really cheap products. They've got some pretty good ones, but these are like middle range. But day 1, tearing a crotch on day 1 is not good. Baxter's asleep by the fire. I'm just making my raised bed, so I'll update you when I'm done, and I've actually got somewhere to lie down for 10 minutes. My fire going, got raised bed, yeah, I'm all ready to go fishing and crayfish hunting. Whoop. So I'm out here crayfish hunting, and I found my first cray. Best away. You see him over there, like a little lobster. But he's tiny, he's a baby. I want to find his mum and dad, so yeah, we'll keep looking. See what I have found though. That is a freshwater mussel. Ooh. Just put that pot down. So it's been good 3, 4, maybe 4 hours since I was stung. Still super swollen. That's a normal hand. That is a blob. It is super fat. And it's gone up into my armpits as well, like my lymph nodes. I think that's what they're called. It's a bit sore, but hopefully I'll wake up in the morning and it'll all be back to normal. Fingers crossed. Oh, I can barely cross my fingers. It's about 20 to 7. Skies are pretty grey. I had a pretty good sleep. Kept waking up feeling like I'd slept 9 hours, but it was pitch black, so I just kept going back to sleep. So I feel pretty well rested. Baxter. Had a good night's sleep, did you? It's the morning of day 2. Just woke up. Had a pretty good sleep, but I definitely did have to get used to the crab apples launching themselves off the trees. Oh, because the sound of that is like bang, bang, especially when it hit this top of my shoulder. Fire's gone out as per usual. I have to coax that back to life, put the dog next to it so it can be nice and warm. Yeah, I had a pretty good sleep. My hand still proper swollen. I'd have thought that would have cleared up overnight, but still pretty swollen. There's a pair. Nice big one. There's a few tiny ones down here, but they're solid as a rock, I'm sure. I tried one earlier. It tastes really bitter, so I want to get that big one so I can get it. Oh, so close. Got it. Yeah, it's a good pair. Slightly squishy. Breakfast done. Pears and mussels. Obviously. Standard English breakfast. So just finished my morning pear. Bax is warming by the fire, and I'm just going to check on, see how my mussel is doing that I got last night. Mussel shell come open and it's just floating around there. I believe that means it's ready, but just to make sure all the nasties that might be in it have been killed, I'm going to cook it a little extra. I love this pot. Simple. That's all you need. Stainless steel pot with a lid. And I attach this to it so it just never gets hot. So you can grab it out of the flames even though the water inside is all boiling. I can use my bare hands on it. Here's my freshwater mussel. Looks pretty good. Let's give it a try. Tastes really good. See if I can find a few more of those to fill this pot. That would be nice. So I'm here, what I call the fishing spot, which is this big deep pool of water that collects here on this little meander. It's like a bit of a pigeon. That would have been nice. A bit of a waterfall over there, and then yeah, I got bites last night. I came here and I sat here for half hour. Couldn't really see much because it was in the pitch black, but the bob kept getting pulled under, but I couldn't really see what was going on, so I didn't got to snag it in time. But now I can actually see. I'm just going to sit here for an hour, fish off the edge. It had to be a fairly big fish to pull the bob down that I've got on it, because it's a pretty big float, so let's see. So the fish ate the bait from the end of the hook, so I'm digging for worms. Look, for more bites. And this is what digging for worms looks like. There's one right there. Faster, away. I know you want to help. Go on, get away. Oh. My very fancy dig stick there. I think you're all probably very jealous of that. Yeah, fancy garden spades. Wow, this was free. Oh, it takes a hell of a lot longer. But, is there a but? The satisfaction of making your own stick surpasses that of buying a garden spade. So, I'm currently building thermal wall behind the fire. I'm going to move the fire over, build up walls either side of this, and make a kind of a chimney, so the fire, if it does rain, is actually under shelter, and I'm still getting the warmth kicking into the shelter. If I was actually staying out here for 5 days, I wouldn't go to this extent, but I'm trying to mimic, you know, if I was out here for the long haul. And if I was going to be staying here for a long time, the initial energy that I have and all that, you know, coming from civilization, being at my most healthy, I think that's when you should get all of the heavy lifting done. Building the shelter, getting everything sorted, so when, you know, later on, a week down the line, when you're really hungry, that's all you have to think about, is just getting food. And you can focus on that. You don't have to be like, oh, week in, my shelter's windy and leaky and I'm cold. It's just such a mental drain. If you have a home you can come back to, yeah, it's an uplifting thing. So fishing didn't turn out as well as I'd hoped. I just don't think there's many fish in there. I've had a few bites, but I'm pretty sure the fish are like this big, so it's probably not worth it. But around the stream's edge, there's this plant, Himalayan balsam, a policeman's helmet, people know it as. It has these little seeds here, which, when the wind blows or they're disturbed, they should. This one's obviously not ready. Let's find another one to show you. It should explode. So what it can actually do is exploding seeds. Had them explode in my mouth. So I'm going to collect a load of those. So tastes like green beans. So I'm going to collect a load of those. Some sort of carbohydrate. Because my stomach is letting me know that I need some food, I went out on the forage. And this is what I got. This colourful mixture. There is some Himalayan balsam, which are all the seeds at the bottom. Stinger nettles, which are pretty standard survival food. I'm going to make that into a tea. The rose hips, hawthorn berries and blackberries. So I'm going to separate it all out and have myself a little snack. So still building the fireplace. Not sure what time it is. Building takes a long time, but you kind of get the idea of what's going on over here. The open back bit, and it's sloped away from the shelter, so the smoke gets drawn in that direction, but I just need to block off that side and obviously the other side. And then I can start filling in all the gaps that I have, and yeah, make it a little bit less breezy. Shelter's as done as I'd want it to be. Just a shell of a shelter, because I don't really feel right chopping down loads of trees and hazel just for the purposes of practicing. As long as I know, I'm able to do it and the basic function of it is there, then I'm happy. So I've got my whole structure is where I'd want it. Stand up. You can stand up under it, which is really important for me, because I think it's important when it's raining. If it's raining for a few days and you haven't stood up for a while, it's good to be able to stretch your legs and not have to be cooped up when it's raining, just fetal position. So yeah, just having a head height shelter. I've probably made this a little too big. I mean, yeah, probably a bit too big, and that would make it harder to build. Again, I just don't want to be cutting down so many resources here. It's only a practice, so oh, he's just gone into his hole. You can see that. Yeah. It's a big daddy crayfish. So they are out this time of year. Well, I guess they're not. I guess they're hiding in holes like that. So I can't see them just scuttling around. Difficult with a phone in one hand. But my GoPro's completely died on me for whatever reason. Oh. The cray's getting away. So happy. Just caught one monster. He is huge. And there's another one sitting in a little hole just in there. Number 2. I'm going to do a recce, see if I can find 2 or 3 more. That'll be my first bit of protein really out here, besides the mussel I got yesterday. So sweet, I'm going to keep collecting. In there, that's my dinner for tonight. A couple of crayfish and one more. This guy's a monster, look at those claws. And quite a big tail on him as well. Yeah, put him in the pot. And pop him on the barbie. And along with that we've got some... What's Baxter seen? He's off. Along with that we've got some dandelion roots, and yeah, I'm going to boil them in with the crayfish, make a kind of broth from it all. A crayfish. See this little ridge just behind the head? If you can shove a knife just through there, that severs the spinal cord, and that's he'll be dead, and that'll just be, you can even chop off the head. But they carry on moving quite a while afterwards. Lots of fishy things do that, don't they? And next thing to do, well, I'll do it with all of them first. So where's the big boy? Look at him. Huge. So again, that little ridge just behind the head. Pierce that. Severs the spinal cord. I like to remove the head just to make absolutely sure. Kind of freaky. Absolutely sure that they're dead. I don't want anything suffering. So that's step one. Step two is removing the anal tract, the anal passage. So do it on the big beastie. So if I get his tail, still moving a lot, but he's a goner. You see the tail has 3 fins. If I grab the middle one and I crack it one way, so I'm going to crack it that way and then crack it the other way. This camera focus, please. There we go. Hear that little snap? There's one way, there's the other way. If I'm careful and I pull this out, it will pull out the entire anal cavity with it. I'll throw that on the fire. So now he's clean, his tail's all good to eat. I'll do that with all of them. Now the water's boiling. Take that off of there. And I'm going to add in my crays. Make sure they're all fully submerged, tail and claw. Covering back up, popping back on the heat. Give it 5 minutes. They should be good. So I'll get my torch out since it's getting dark so you can see the lovely colour they've turned. Smells delicious. It actually does. It smells like lobster. There we go. That's the tail. A lot of meat. This is what a crayfish claw looks like. So that's still me processing the little one. That's the tip of the claw there on both of them. And then that's sort of the bulk of the claw and the bulk of the meat. The other one I kind of destroyed, so I had to eat the meat in little bits, suck it out the shell. This one came out as almost a whole. That's how you want it. But they are yummy. It's like sweet and meaty and just like a lobster. And that on the fat swollen hand still looks like a good portion of food. I know. Time for bed. Then it's day 3. Today I feel like I had a good amount of food and protein. First bit of protein, but it's only day 2. Actually, day 1 I had the freshwater mussel, so not too bad. What I didn't show you was me eating the dandelion roots and the dandelions. So I've had a good amount today. Not the same amount of I haven't eaten the same amount of calories that I've actually expended, like finishing off the bits of the shelter and a lot to walking around, but I feel satiated. That's the one. I feel that my stomach is full and I don't have any hunger pains, don't feel hungry at all. And Baxter's fast asleep over there. And I'm off to bed too. Oof, that was right in the eyes. That wasn't a good move. Night night. It's another beautiful day, morning of day 3, and been so lucky with the weather. So I'm just out getting some breakfast, which is going to be a berry-based breakfast. Very fruity, because that's what's around. Getting the last of the blackberries, some hawthorns. I'll probably forage some more. I'll see if there's any crayfish about, because that was an easy pickings yesterday. Probably forage some more dandelion roots and see if there's any burdock that's in softer ground. It's a bit easier to uproot, because I gave up with the other one the other day, because after a few minutes of digging, the ground just got rock solid, and me with my little digging stick didn't really have much of a chance against it. But after that, and I've had a good breakfast, I'm going to have to leave on day, midday 3. Feeling absolutely fine, full of energy, not feeling hungry, not feeling thirsty, and very satisfied with what I've got done so far. But the reason I have to leave is I picked up an injury in my Achilles at the beginning of the week, doing sort of hill sprints without any warm-up, stupidly, and I picked up that injury. I thought a good 3 days rest before I went out and did this was enough. It was aching a little bit, but it sort of felt okay. But now, like doing this, walking around loads and building shelters and hauling all of that wood over and lugging my equipment around is really starting to hurt. And to stop any serious damage or any further injury, I'm just gonna have to call it quits. But I'm happy with what I've done. So day 3 wasn't 5 days, but at least I got a good 3 days out, and I'm really happy with what I managed to accomplish. So sorry I didn't get to see another 2 days. Maybe it would have turned and I would have been starving and crying to you and crying to the camera. But yeah, thanks for watching. So I'm just going to build a nice smaller shelter so I can actually finish it properly, finish all the walls and all that stuff. So yeah, more small, compact, practical shelter. So what I did have around me, there was loads of squirrels in the trees all the time. If I had a slingshot, I could have taken those shots and probably got myself some meat day 1 and day 2. But I had a bow instead, and I just didn't use it. So swap out the bow for a slingshot. That's about it, really. Everything else seemed pretty good. I didn't really get a chance to set up many traps, so next time I come and do something on the same lines as this, I'm going to bring a slingshot and focus on setting up more traps and seeing what happens there. So yeah, again, thanks for watching, and I hope you learned something and enjoyed the video as much as I enjoyed going out there and out here and practicing all of this stuff.